Hey, what's going on, guys? This is going to be my out-of-box review here for the high-grade Universal Century Gouf Flight Type. Now, this once again was a premium Bandai kit. Unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know. I find it very fortunate that this kit even got made in general because the design that I really like. There is an older 1/144 scale HD kit of this, but it is exactly that. It's older and not very good. The detail is kind of all there on the older one, but yeah, it's just not that good. This one is so much better, so I'm very happy to have this. But of course, it is unfortunate that it was a premium Bandai kit. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, a little bit harder to get as it goes with P-Bandai kits, but we got it here, and I can tell you guys that it is a pretty fantastic kit. Now, a lot of that is basically just due to the fact of that it's based off of the HGUC Gouf Custom. So if you've built that kit, or if you're looking for a great Gouf kit to build, I can pretty much tell you that that must be a pretty good kit, even though I have it and haven't built it yet. But just based on this one, I can tell that the Gouf Custom on its own must be pretty good because all of the aspects that it donates to this design. So that said, this is a pretty obscure design that basically appeared for a few minutes in the 8th MS team, which was a pretty short series in general, but it didn't really have much screen time. Fortunately, it did get a little bit more screen time in that more recent short that came out with, I believe, the Blu-ray release of the 8th MS team. That was pretty awesome, so I believe that's probably a big reason as to why we finally got a kit of it, but let's get into it and I'll show you guys why I think that this kit is so great. So because this kit is based off of the HG Gouf Custom, we do have some leftover parts from that, like the lower leg armor here, the shoulder armor, very cool, and the Gouf Custom's forearm with the kind of grappling wire, I believe that's called, built into that, and then we have like the little actual like open part on there. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the wire for that. That would have been cool, but if you just get your own wire, you could totally use that with this kit. Just use this forearm instead if you wanted to, or give it to some other Gouf kit or something if you wanted. And then the Gouf Custom's head minus the hose part, which is on here, so you could use this if you want. I was actually surprised they didn't just use the regular Gouf Customs head for this, but they used a new head, and it is a little bit different, so you can actually notice that in some areas, so I was a little bit surprised by that. Then as for hand options for the kit, you can see I've just got the closed fists on here. We also have a set of just regular holding hands for both the left and the right, and then we have an open hand here for the right. Now again, I believe this is probably just leftover from the Gouf Custom, which uses the grappling wire, so it's kind of like an extended right hand for when it's shooting out the wire, where with this kit it's just kind of an extra thing to have, and it's still really cool. So pretty nice hand options for this kit. We have the kind of a 3-barrel machine gun, basically, I think is what it is, sort of, and that we don't have a sticker there for the camera for that, strangely, but this just plugs onto the side of the forearm here, and it just mounted like that. Pretty cool. And then, of course, the main weapon we have here is the Gatling shield. Now, this is also quite nice. You'll see I have the other holding hand just already attached onto here. But this is pretty cool indeed. Really nice design, and it's got this kind of little bit softer plastic part here for that belt. I'm not sure about that. I do kind of wish that that was just a solid piece because there's really no need for it to be a soft piece. But, yeah, it's pretty nice. And then we do also have this sword as well, and that will fit down into the shield. That will just go through like that. Now, how they have it in the manual, they have it so that you're supposed to put the sword in last after you attach it onto the arm, but I don't think it really particularly matters. But there you go. Pretty awesome weapon. I love this a lot on the Gouf Custom and on this one as well. Now let's talk a little bit about the articulation of this guy. So speaking of stickers, I do have a foil sticker there for the mono eye. That's there. Around here on the backpack, you have these white stickers which wrap around the little wings there. Those don't really fit on too well, I found. I kind of had a little bit of trouble with them. So those aren't great. And then down here at the back of the legs, you have this sticker here which goes over this. This is kind of on this dark brown part, but it's supposed to be in this lighter brown color, so you have a sticker to cover up that bit. So alright, in the head articulation, there's back and forward to there and there. Yeah, there's no forward and back movement for the head at all, just because of this larger section that it has there at the back of the head. So I guess actually that hose would not fit on the Gouf Custom's head if you wanted to use this. So you've got the Gouf Custom head without any hose for that. Anyway, of course we can rotate the head a little bit, and if you pop the head off, underneath there's a little switch so you can move the mono eye side to side, but not very much, really only a little bit off to the side there, not as much as like the HG the Origin kits. In the shoulders, they can swing forward to there, not too bad. can move the shoulder armor by itself like that, not really up anywhere, but you can move it out to the side. So that when you bring the arm up, it's kind of out of the way. I don't really know if that's going to be too different. Yeah, with that down, it can't really lift up the arm at all. But if you move that up and out of the way, you can bring the arm up further to about 90 degrees, but that looks like it's really going to be about the extent of that. Otherwise, the arm is going to work pretty standardly. Rotation there at the top, and a joint there at the elbow is going to give you about 90 degrees, and that's about it, unfortunately. So really not going to be the best in terms of elbow joints. The wrist, of course, just on a ball joint. Then in here in the stomach section, you can rotate that and then forward bend to about there. I got a little bit of an ab crunch, not too much. Back is really going to be just depending on the ball joint there at the base. We can like bend it around there at that ball joint. You have a little clear orange part in here for that. It's pretty nice. Now here at the front skirts, you do want to be careful with that. I actually broke mine, this front skirt here, when I was putting it together. Everything, I was kind of going a little bit too fast maybe, and I snapped my front skirt. So just be careful with that. They don't really move or anything. They're just kind of stuck in that position. The bits here on the side can almost sort of move, but they're also just basically kind of stuck just by this hose wrapping around through there. That said, these little fins on the side will be able to move up and down to get those out of the way as needed. And speaking of, let's go back around here to the backpack real quick. These do move side to side, and that's it for the articulation there. Pretty nice detail though in the back skirts as well with these thruster bells. It all looks pretty nice. For the hip joints, again, nothing really too special. The legs can come out all the way to there. It's a pretty nice spread considering that the hip skirts armor doesn't really move at all. You got some rotation at the top and then a double joint in the knee to give you more than 90 degrees, but not really too much considering you got some really hefty lower legs here. And that is one concern that I have about this kit, is if you have this in an aerial pose and the leg outspread like that, as if it's going to be able to support the weight without the leg sinking back down. But I think it's going to be okay. It seems solid at the moment, although if you had it in a pose like that for a couple weeks, I do have to imagine that that probably would start to sink down over time. That said, just some really nice color separation down here in the legs with the knee armor and the gray parts for the little fans there and these kind of like turbines on the side of the leg, the red part inside the dark brown part, the gray inside the foot there, the lighter tan color, and then this darker color there for the feet if I'll just drop the kit. And then up underneath the feet, some really nice detail all in there as well. And despite these really bulky, huge bell bottoms it's got, the ankle articulation is actually not bad. You can move that side to side like so you can get it in a pretty wide stance there. Forward is pretty far there as well, and then back also quite nice, so the articulation there in the ankles is pretty good. So as you can see there, admittedly, there's a few points of articulation that could be better, but I do think that the kit does still look very cool. It's got articulation, I think, where it counts for doing some cool posing, considering it's a pretty big, bulky, massive version of the Gouf here with just a little bit larger shoulders there and very much larger lower legs. You kind of don't really expect something this super bulky to be doing some like ballerina moves in the air. So I think it works pretty well, especially once we get the big Gatling shield attached onto his arm. It's going to be a mobile suit that looks more like it's designed to fly and shoot stuff, and that's pretty much it. A pretty basic, simple premise there. So the lack of articulation in a few of the points there doesn't really bother me too much. What I think is so much better about this is the really nice color separation, pretty almost non-existent list of seam lines that you're going to have to remove for this, and a very low sticker count. Those are all things that I think you could definitely praise this kit for. As for any negatives about the kit, really, I mean, the fact that it's a P-Bandai kit is something that you could obviously list as a negative. But as far as the kit itself, there's really not a whole lot I can say negative about it, except for a few weak points for articulation. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I think the legs might have a little bit of a weight issue if you have it in a certain pose for a long extended period of time. But that even as well, I think is really not that big of a deal. The arm holds up the Gatling shield very well. It doesn't have a problem with the weight of that at all. The joints are tight. Everything seems to work pretty dang nicely with this kit. So there's really not a whole lot negative to say about it. I guess you could say the color scheme might not appeal to some people, but I think if you're a fan of the design, then you're probably a fan of the color scheme as well, because it's a very kind of UC, almost MSV kind of looking design. Just in terms of its kind of like weird obscurity. So if you're in any way a fan of the design, then you're probably totally cool with the color scheme this comes molded in. And then obviously if you paint, it doesn't matter to you at all. So yeah, there's really not a whole lot negative to say about it. So in conclusion, guys, I've got to say this is a pretty awesome kit, a pretty awesome high grade Universal Century kit, P-Bandai or not. It's really nice. So if you're a fan of the Gouf, if you're a fan of 8th MS team, then it's definitely worth checking out. I really like this a lot, and now I really need to finally get around to building the high grade EZ8 as well as the high grade Gouf Custom. If you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know I did also get those kits not all that long ago, and I wanted to review them for you guys, and I just haven't got around to it. So I really need to get around to that, and then maybe do a kind of special 8th MS team video related to those. I don't know, that could be something cool. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comment section down below. As always, guys, thank you to USA Gundam Store again for sponsoring this review. Check the link to their site in the description. And if you guys have any other further questions or comments about this, do let me know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.